Alum of Service, JoDee Garretson.
Well, my children now are all grown and left, unfortunately, but I love to spend my time with my family. One of my fondest memories at Eastern is really raising our baby on campus, well, for the first 6 months of his life. Because my husband and I both had classes, we had to stagger our schedules because we didn't want anyone taking care of the baby, and we didn't have the money for anyone to take care of the baby. So we would stagger our schedules and carry the baby onto campus and swap in the halls and just make that work. We did it for 6 months, and then our graduation, our little one was 7 months old by graduation and wore a little Eastern outfit, and it was just the most adorable thing. SARC is a local nonprofit agency. We provide services to victims of crime, the majority being sexual violence, and then we serve approximately 140 additional clients of victims of other crimes such as homicide, child abuse, identity theft, gang violence, and then we have a prevention program as well. I have been at SARC for just over 20 years, but what I just love about my job is I'm able to use my education that I got at Eastern and a business degree in a way that's helping people. So as long as I can make sure that we have a solid agency, that we're well funded, and we have consistent and dedicated staff, then we're able to help all the clients. And so it's a good marriage for me. My minor is in sociology, and my major is in business, so it's a good way to put it together. Previous to working at SARC, the worst thing in the world I could ever imagine was being sexually assaulted, and I didn't know how anybody could ever live through that or ever get through it. After working there, in no way to minimize sexual violence, but the resiliency that people show is amazing, and the resiliency in the kids is just stunning. And so I think I've really learned about the human spirit and how resilient people really can be that I didn't understand before. I think probably one of the greatest challenges is just what we see and hear all the time, with the majority of our population being kids who have been sexually abused. 90% of the time by someone known to them. It's heavy and it affects staff a lot, and so for me a biggest challenge is trying to keep an environment where we want to come to work and that isn't a depressing place. I mean, you'll hear a lot of laughter in the agency, and sometimes that can be misunderstood, but people come there for healing. They've gone through a difficult time, but we just want to have an appropriate place that makes people feel better. I think for someone to be a successful advocate for people in vulnerable populations, of course they have to be caring and passionate, but for the advocates that have lasted and have been there for years, which we have a few, and we have some that keep coming back, which is amazing, they have to be able to have good balance in their lives. It can't all be about work, and you can't take it home with you, or it just eats people up. If I had one wish for the people that we serve, I wish they could go back to knowing a world where they weren't as fearful, a world where they're not as heavy of a burden that they now have, a world where they didn't realize these things can happen. We can't do that, but I wish that we could.